Hello, everyone. Today I'll be talking with Natasha Harris from Mind, Body and Soul Energy. Natasha is an intuitive coach and healer, supporting conscious business owners to ignite their soul power and activate abundance to have a thriving business and life they love. Natasha is also a Master Reiki healer, an Akashic record practitioner, and a mindfulness expert. Today, she will be sharing some of her insights, learnings, and wisdom on how we can all align to our soul power and create a bigger impact through our work and manifest abundance. Welcome, Natasha.
Hi there, Tuğçe.
I'm so excited to have you on the show. How are you?
I'm really good, thank you. I'm really excited to be here too. Can't wait to have this conversation.
Fantastic. It'd be really interesting to know how you kind of got to where you are now. How you came to this, this amazing, unique job that you do, and maybe as a child, had you ever thought that you'd be here where you are doing what you do?
Absolutely not. I really didn't. I mean, I come from a computing background. I come from an IT background. That was my learning through university. So absolutely not. If someone had said that I would be working with the Akashic records, at first I wouldn't even know what they were and like, what on earth are you talking about? But also, I think it's relevant to say that, even 10 years ago, 5 years ago, 7 years ago, if somebody had said this is the work I'd be doing, I probably would have laughed a little bit as well then.
Really? So even as just far back as 5 and 10 years ago, this is not.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so interesting. I guess then, what were the influences on you when you were growing up?
Oh my goodness, so many influences. I mean, really, I think for me, having worked in IT and worked in a very logical space environment, running big project scale like rollouts, big scale project rollouts, it really taught me a lot that I can adapt into my business. So I know that my background and the work that I've always done has really helped me and supported me in running a business today. But in terms of, influences, there have been so many people that have really kind of touched my life along the way. And I think my dad was probably one of the biggest influences on me, who, that's probably a bit of a cliche to say, a parent, but I think he really was. He always encouraged me just to be me and to do what I wanted. I mean, I didn't always manage to do that. I didn't always quite believe him. Hang-ups about that. But he was always that force behind me that was, if you want to do something, do it. So I always have his voice behind me. The fear still comes up, not quite sure I always leap into it, but his voice is definitely with me a lot of the time.
Well, that's amazing. Having that support from a parent or parents, that's, I think that's something that we'd all love. And yeah, I think that's a brilliant thing. And it's interesting that you say that, coming from an IT background, so logical, so rational.
So rational, beyond words.
I guess it's that, how did you, having been in that world and then stepping into this sort of new world, that process of it, how was that for you?
Yeah, so it's been really interesting. I mean, I left the IT world and the corporate world. I was doing very well. I was being promoted. I was a project manager, but I was also a head of a department, and so I was doing really well. But there was something within me, and this was sort of in my late 20s, going into my 30s, that was like, this isn't for me. Like, if this is what the rest of my life looks like, working harder, trying to prove myself consistently, a woman in a completely man's world. I was the only woman there. So I always felt like I had something to prove. Right. I had great colleagues. I had a great time. I loved the work I was doing. But there was something in me that was like, well, is this really what I want for the rest of my life? To be just climbing this ladder and proving myself to others? And, I just had this deep sense of there's something more I need to be doing. There's something different. I had absolutely no clue what that was, really.
That's interesting, isn't it? That sort of male-dominated world, that yang energy, really quite. Yeah. I mean, I worked in advertising for 18 years, so you want a bit that yin, don't you, to sort of balance.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and I did that male energy very, very, very well. really did. To the point where I really actually, towards the end of that career, I didn't really recognize myself anymore. And I think that was one of the things that's like, well, I kind of lost sight of who I was as well within that. And so I really had to think about, well, what is my passion? That's all I've known from school through university. I didn't really know anything. I thought, well, project management is I'm good at it. I'm really good at it. And how can I adapt that into something I love? And at that time, I'd done a bit of traveling. I was very passionate about the environment and conservation. And I thought, well, maybe I can adapt it into that. So I left my IT job. I took a bit of a dive out of that career and went and worked for a charity. And I was very, very lucky that I was offered pretty much immediately through voluntary work to go and set up a project in Mexico.
Wow. Oh, that sounds exciting. So quite different.
Yes, very different. IT job, in a role, 9 to 5, and then literally being in the middle of nowhere in Mexico and setting up a project. The logistics of that completely and utterly different, but was such a huge learning curve. It was an incredible experience.
Amazing. Yeah, I can imagine. So how long were you in Mexico then for?
I think it was about 3 months in total.
And then is that when, I know we've spoken before, when there was a big life-changing event for you that kind of then made you rethink life? Was that post the conservation work?
Yes, yeah, absolutely. It was just a real defining moment, that really trusting my instinct, trusting my gut, which I'd been totally switched off from, but there was just something within me that just said, you have to make a change, you have to do that. And I didn't really know what that meant. And in fact, it was actually a trip before that was actually the change before going to Mexico. It was really a conversation I had with somebody in my gym, actually. And this is where we've really got to start listening to the conversations that we have, the chance meetings in inverted commas that we really need to start listening to and acting upon. And we were on the treadmill side by side, and we were having a chat, so we obviously weren't running. I was doing a leisurely jog, and I was saying, I'm just fed up with work, and I'm fed up with the IT world, and I really want to just, I probably said, I'd quite like to run away and go traveling. And he was talking to me, and he said that, he knew somebody who's setting up an eco lodge in the middle of in Bolivia, in the middle of the Amazon jungle. And I was like, wow, that sounds incredible. How on earth do you go about doing that? And I was quite shy in those days. I wasn't really up for talking to people I didn't know. I was fine in environments where I, enjoyed people's company, but talking to strangers was always a little bit challenging for me. And the words just came out of my mouth. I said, can I have her phone number? I'd love to chat to her to see how she's done that. And anyway, one thing led to another. I ended up having a conversation with her. I ended up having a coffee with her. And she said to me, why don't you come to Bolivia with me and see what we're doing? So I was like, okay, I've got holiday to take. This is weird, but okay. And my partner at the time, he was like, do it. Like, you've got seriously nothing to lose. Like, you've got holiday, go and see what they're doing out there. And then anyway, I went and spent 4 months out in Bolivia in the end and set up that project. So that was my introduction, actually, before coming back and then looking into the conservation sector and working then in the conservation sector for another 10 years around the world on various projects.
Exciting. Wow. Yeah, that's so true about we've said of those moments or synchronistic things that happen to us, and to kind of really pay attention to that. That's incredible. I mean, Bolivia, that sounds incredible.
Yeah, it was pretty spectacular. But yeah, and I think that was really, I look back at that now and I really recognize that I had no idea why I was doing it. I just knew I had to. I knew I had to. There was no option.
When you said, you were not, you were always quite a quiet person back then, and you were quite shy, and I think you'd normally say, can I have a number? Can I, I'd like to chat to this person, see what's, see what's going on. But that's, that's an incredible, I guess, path, that a new path that you had to take, that you're being led to, or you were leading yourself to, I guess, in the light. I talk about light in light conversations. These conversations that we have are light. They're about being joyful and playful, but also about our inner light, our light, our internal light. What does that internal light mean for you?
Oh, just have goosebumps you just saying that. It's our internal light is when we really tap into who we are and we shine, and we're sharing everything of ourselves, our gifts. We're not trying to fit into a box. We're not trying to be who we're expected to be in society as part of, as a parent, as a friend, as a daughter or a son, a colleague or a boss. We're not trying to fit in, we're just being us. And that's where I feel that we really start to ignite our soul light, our inner light, and we start to beam. And that's, you can feel it when you're around people. You're like, I want a little bit more of what they've got. It's like they're just showing up as them, and we are all unique and different, and we all shine in very, very different ways. But we haven't been encouraged to shine that light, and that's a huge part of the work that I do.
Yes, so, and which I wanted to go into the next part of the work you do. But before you got to the work you're doing now, I think there was another little path that sort of showed up.
Another little pathway.
Segue, yeah, to all this, which I think was the Reiki. So how did that come about?
Yeah, so that was after having worked for a while in the conservation sector. So I felt like I was starting to work in an area, in a field that I felt very, very passionately about. But what I was beginning to realise at that point was that I was good at the project management side, but it didn't light me up. So I think that goes back to what we just said about that light. It frustrated me. It was like I was good at it, but I didn't understand why. To manage people into realizing how to run a project and how to set up a project, and especially in conservation and charity work, I really kind of got frustrated with the way things were running that weren't smooth, they weren't logical. It was like firefighting a lot because reliant on funding, etc. And it was like, again, a defining moment. I started doing yoga. I've been asked this question so many times, but I think I must have been at my yoga center, and there must have been a little leaflet that said something about Reiki. And I was like, oh, that's an interesting looking word. I think I might have heard about that, but I don't know what it is. And it was for the level 1. It was for the first weekend. And I just thought, oh, okay, I'm not doing anything that weekend. I'm curious to see what this is all about. I literally had not much of a clue. I don't think I'm very good at saying yes to things and not really doing the research and just wait until I get there. It's a little bit like holidays. I'll be like, I'll book a flight. I want to go to this place. I don't even open the travel book until I get off the plane. I'm like, where am I going to stay tonight? So I literally rocked up to this Reiki level 1 course, and I was like, okay. And the teacher was amazing because actually she was very spiritual, but she was also very grounded. So she kind of talked in a very simple language, which I was like, oh, I can understand this. I get this. And then, of course, we were trying out the Reiki and we were working with each other. And I was like, I cannot explain this with my head, but my body knows in every part of my cells, there's something here. But my mind was going like, this is ridiculous. Like, how can I put my hands on somebody and they feel something? And how can someone put their hands on me and then I can feel it? So it was like, okay. And then there was the moment at the end of the weekend where the teacher said, I'm doing level 2 in a couple of months' time. I have a couple of places. If anybody wants them. And my hand literally shot up in the air, like involuntarily. And I was like, looks like I might be doing that weekend then. So again, it was just like, okay, I've got to find out more about this. This is just like weird, but wonderful. And had no real intention of practicing it or anything, but then obviously did practice it with friends and family. And I just thought, wow, this is incredible.
Wow, that is incredible. I love that, you sort of just stand there, just who wants to do this? Arm shoots up, the energy. You're going, yep, I'm going to this.
Yeah. It was like I remember that. When you remember certain moments, and I was like, I remember looking at my hand, going, what's my hand doing up? I just knew it wasn't me that did it. It was just like totally involuntary.
Wow. I love this. I can almost had a vision when you're talking about, going from the IT work to Bolivia to Mexico, and you're talking about, the soul light, and this like this ignite, this light is igniting within you, and it's almost like it's getting brighter and brighter, and it's kind of trying to push its way out and keep shining, which is it's just lovely. I think you talked about our soul light. I guess that's different. Is that our essence then, of essence of who we are, versus the personality that we create and build through our conditioning and our upbringing, the environments, cultures, whatever it is. And how is it that you work with people's soul lights, and what is it that you do?
I think you explained it really well there, Tuğçe. It's like, it is exactly that. We are all parts of everything, and having worked with energy, for so many years now, I sort of see and feel into the energy so much around people, but we are also our personality. We are also our characteristics, our personality traits, and who we are and how we integrate and live out in the world. But we are also this energetic essence and this energetic being. We are all energy. Like, everything is energy. We've proven this with science now. So if everything is energy, then we have an energetic resonance. And what is that? That is our soul light. So it is a real indication of our soul light and who we are at that soul level, as a unique soul being, as well as a unique human being in the flesh and in the body.
So you hear a lot of spiritual teachers talk about the personality, the ego, and how the ego is, put it over there, and we need to kind of develop our soul light or our essence. How important do you think it is to keep them separate, or to blend the two?
We cannot keep them separate. I really feel so strongly about that. We are all of everything. We are not trying to evolve our ego. We are not trying to out-evolve our personality and our characteristics and how we integrate with people here in the physical world. We are spiritual beings. This is something I've heard more often, is like, we're spiritual beings having a human experience. So we are here to fully embrace that human experience, to express ourselves through our ego and through our personality and all the emotions that come with that. There is no good and there's no bad. We sometimes have bad days and we sometimes have good days, and sometimes we just want to curl up and just not get out of bed, and that's okay too. And it's about embracing all of ourselves and knowing that we cannot have the light without knowing the darkness. There is polarity exists. It's a law of the universe. There is always polarity. If we, how can we experience joy if we don't know what sadness is? Joy just becomes, if we just live in a constant space of joy, then we don't know what joy is anymore. So I feel we have to embrace all of ourselves, and that is the ego, that is the emotions, that is the thoughts, and we have just coined them as negative and positive. They just are. They're just emotions on a different end of the spectrum, different moment, different day, different experience, different emotion.
Yeah. And I guess it's how we navigate those emotions and those thoughts and what we have. It's how we kind of go through, rather than just being pulled into the emotion.
Yeah, absolutely. You're totally right.
For your company, or mind, body and soul energy, it's where we integrate the three, isn't it? So how do we integrate all those areas into this human experience that we're having? But I think it's like the French philosopher had said that, wasn't it? We're all human beings having a human we are spiritual beings having a human experience. How did you then, from the Reiki, became a Reiki master? Did you level 2, I don't know, sorry, how many levels are that you've?
Yeah, there's 1, 2, and then master.
And then master. So you completed your master, and then was that at that point, had you then got involved with the Akashic field, or was that something that later on?
That was sometime later.
Right.
The Akashic, again, like, just one of those moments. I really do. A lot of people who who study Reiki or go to practice Reiki, they will always say it feels like Reiki called them. They didn't go looking for it. They were called to it. And I think that's my explanation of why my hand went up. I was called to do it. There was something within me. And it was really the same with the Akashic Records. I hadn't really heard of the Akashic Records. I ended up watching a podcast or listening to a podcast or a webinar or something. And I was like, what is this woman talking about? Like this is like totally another like realm. This is totally another, a whole nother level of the energy work. But I was fascinated. And, you know, at the end of that, she was talking about her course to learn how to access the Akashic Records and how to use that to help other people. And I just thought to myself, oh, this is really interesting because this could really complement my work. And, you know, the Akashic Records looking at past lives and who we are at that soul level. It really, I felt like, oh, this will complement my work. Okay, I'm curious. You know, it was a little bit of an investment, but it wasn't going to break the bank. But it was like, okay, let's see where this goes to. And I have to say, it absolutely blew my mind because she was talking a whole nother language that I hadn't heard. You know, and I considered myself at that time to be really quite spiritually awake. To really have explored myself. I'd, you know, been coached a lot. I was working with a spiritual teacher. And we had talked in essence about things like the Akashic Records, but we hadn't named them. So it was a concept that I kind of understood, but when we started tapping into it, it was just like, wow, it was vast. And I was a bit blown away.
Yeah. It's incredible. I mean, it's like you say, it is the language. I guess we don't really hear about the Akashic Records sometimes being the Akashic Records. You hear about so many maybe words or other words that are used to sort of describe it. But I think I was listening to something recently where Dr. Ervin Laszlo is a Hungarian scientist, and he talks about as well from a scientific perspective. So actually it's been talked about for, I guess, for a long time through certain cultures and you know, in history. So so had you already been coaching at this point?
I think coaching kind of came just after I learned how to do Reiki. So that was really, you know, fascinating journey. And I really never thought, you know, I think you asked me before about blending things in, you know, it's like, I never, for what I thought, you know, oh, I do a bit of Reiki, I do a bit of coaching, maybe I'll add the Akashic Records. And then it was really, you know, about working, well, what's my passion? And my passion is the environment. It's protecting the environment for future generations. It's about, you know, how we respect our planet Earth and all that survive on it and thrive on it, to live on it, to allow them to thrive. So humanity, but also wildlife and how we respect all of that. And so that's where I sort of blended now this whole work with, you know, mind, body and soul, but how we express that to have a bigger impact through the world, through the work that we're doing, because we need it right now.
Yeah, absolutely. So I guess my next question I'd like to ask is actually, where do you think humanity is going, and our planet are heading?
Yeah, that's a big question. Who knows, right? Who knows? But my feeling or my sense, and that this is my personal sense, is that we are in a big shift. We're already in it. You know, I think for many years I was always saying we are heading towards a big shift, you know, through the work I was doing, you know, we're heading towards a big shift. And I think right now in 2020, you know, all that's happened, we are in that big shift. And we are now really, you know, people are waking up, people are becoming much more consciously aware of what we're doing, the impact that we're having on our planet, you know, where we're heading as humanity, and that we run a really true risk of wiping ourselves off or really destroying humanity. And we are now given the opportunity to really stand in our light, to have more light conversations, to start shining our light and our authenticity, to bring the light into what's going on around the world, so that we can be these beacons, these advocates for, you know, changing the way forward, to know that actually it is possible when we stand together, when we stand united, It doesn't mean to say the challenges won't arise, that things will not continue to happen. But, you know, as we stand more united on that front, we have an opportunity to change. And what do we choose now for humanity going forward? We have a huge choice. I think that's where we're heading, and we can choose one way or the other. And that's what I think is really exciting about where we're at now, is that we really have choice. We have more choice than we've ever done in the history of humanity. You know, not everywhere around the world, but, you know, certainly much more around the planet. We have so much more choice about what we choose for ourselves. And as we shine our light, as we have more light conversations, we actually infuse more light into the world.
Love that. I feel like from a macro level, we know there's lots of change happening, and then on the micro level, on an individual level. And I think, you know, how you're saying it, you know, from our own individual level, that life, we can make those choices. And I guess it's that, you know, we to feel empowered to make those choices. I think a lot of the time, sometimes as human beings, and I know I've been very guilty of this, you know, you go into that victim consciousness, that victim mode of it's all happening to me. And I think, you know, I think we'd had a conversation before. It's interesting how we think actually sometimes it's happening for us. You know, think of being able to put ourselves first and make those choices in our life and say, right, you know, in a situation, this is what I'm going to do. And I guess your work has now brought you to working with businesses, business owners, business leaders. Again, I think that ties back to what you love doing, your passion being with the planet and helping people to shine their lights even brighter. So how has it been working with evolving your business to work with business owners?
Yeah, I've really loved it. You know, I've learned so much myself from, you know, setting up my own business and running my own business for the last 6 years, and, you know, sharing that knowledge and, you know, that possibility of growth, and allowing us to really start our business to be an expression of who we are. You know, I always thought early on that I would have to create my business for what everybody else needed and then mold myself around that. And what I've really, really learned, and this is where my business really has stepped up and started to thrive so that I can thrive, is by really allowing my business to be the extension of me. So as I shine more of my own light, I infuse my business with that, and then it ripples out. And so that's what I really, really love about running a business, is that it's just me. It's me being me in my business. And some people will resonate with that. Some people will get the message and some people won't. And that's okay.
Yeah, that's so true, that what you say about how it's, you know, it's part of you. And we do so much of the time, we try and do sort of things what everyone else wants. What do people want? What happens to us if we try and perform it in that way, trying to please others?
Yeah, I think it becomes a lot of hard work and a lot of effort. And I definitely come from that background and that kind of modeling through corporate. You know, it's like, work hard, you want to climb the ladder, work harder, prove yourself, say yes to everything. Again, especially as a woman in that man's environment. Yes, I'm the woman, I can do everything, of course. And it's really, you know, it's about, you know, allowing ourselves to really be us in our business, because that's where it becomes light, it becomes effortless, it becomes joyful, it becomes fun, it becomes playful. And so where, you know, and as we resonate more to that and we do more of that, we get more back of that. So whatever we're putting out there, if we're putting out hard work, we're always going to be creating hard work for ourselves. And when we're not aligned to who we are, when we're not expressing ourselves fully or more authentically, I'd like to also say, are we ever completely shining our light? Are we completely ever like only being authentic? No, I don't think that that's also possible, because we are still human and we are still evolving. But, you know, and it doesn't mean to say that also when we create that business that's light and fun and, you know, and in flow, that challenge doesn't still come up. We are not trying to eliminate challenge, or what we coin as well in inverted commas, those negative emotions. we are here to embrace all of it. And I have certainly days in my business where I'm like, what am I doing? This is scary. This is really, I'm sitting in fear. I want to take something to the next level. And I'm literally sitting in fear, and I'm like, well, what am I going to do? Am I going to find a way around the fear, take the fear with me, or am I going to allow the fear to stop me? And that's where the fear has less grip, because again, we're coming back to this sense of choice. It's like, what do I choose to do? Where do I choose to move forwards? And we can choose to not go forwards if we want. That's perfectly okay too.
You were talking about your stepping into fear, and with a business, running your own business, you've been doing it for 6 years. Stepping into that fear of the unknown, I guess, you've been going through, I guess, quite a linear process most of our lives, going to school, secondary education, university, corporate job, and then to sort of do things slightly on a more meandering, I think Sheryl Sandberg called the jungle gym, jumping from here to there. How were you able to sort of stop yourself from the fear, or look at that fear from a different perspective almost, to be able to keep pushing yourself forward?
Yeah, I think when I recognized and when I really acknowledged that fear is going to show up anyway, like if we want to create change in our lives, it's going to get uncomfortable. We are going to step out of our comfort zone towards something that's new and different, and it gets uncomfortable there. And fear sometimes will mostly show up when we step towards the edges of that comfort zone to create the changes that we want. And when I truly, from an energetic perspective, really, really understood that fear was going to show up anyway, and I could choose to either sit in that fear, allow it to stop me, allow me to go to even more fear and more terror, or I could actually say, okay, fear for me means that I'm on the edge of something new and different. I'm on the edge of creating change in my life. Fear didn't get less scary, but became slightly more exciting, because it was like, okay, I know what fear's doing here, rather than going into sheer terror and, like paralysis, which I've done many, many times, and then literally gone back to my comfort zone and hung out there for a bit and gone, okay, now I feel okay to kind of step out and creep out towards that fear again. I've realized actually that the fear is coming. It will come back. We will not out evolve the fear. And so when I know when fear shows up for me, I kind of feel the fear. I kind of get excited, because I know if I keep going, that actually there is something magical on the other side of it.
Yeah, love that reframing of it. It's such so powerful to look at it as it's exciting. It's gonna take me somewhere I've not been before.
Yay!
Yeah, and it just kind of helps us, show up in a new way, doesn't it? And
yeah, absolutely.
In an exciting way. And as coaches, and I think however the way we coach, it's we want people to kind of be able to step into that and to feel that excitement.
Yeah,
I know we've all done it, definitely. To go back to that, I can't do this.
Yeah, totally done it plenty of times. More times than I care to imagine.
Yeah.
And remember,
and like you say, we are human beings. At the end of the day, it's not going to go away. We have to learn to navigate it and work with it in our favor.
Work with it.
Yeah,
absolutely. And if more of us were taught this stuff, things would become far more easier, and we would be able to shine that light far more easily.
Yeah. I think earlier you mentioned something around really stepping into our responsibilities, and it's really about stepping into our is that what you call your soul power? Or how is a soul gift different to our soul power?
Yeah, so they're kind of similar, so that when we stand in our soul gifts, so we are all unique and different beings. We are all gifted in certain areas. What's happened generally for most people is that we've got good at a certain area in life, because during school most of us have been taught to get better at the things that we've not been good at. So we get very, very good at the things that we haven't been good at, and we forget to work on the things that we are naturally gifted at and talented at, because society dictates that we should work on what we're not good at. So really standing in our soul gifts is really about recognizing what our gifts are, letting go of all the other stuff that we've kind of learned and stepping more into our soul gift, whatever that might be. And really understanding and recognizing why some things feel easy, why some things feel tricky, and how that shows up in our experience. And when we stand in us, once we start to acknowledge our soul gifts, which the Akashic records show us and share with us through very, very easy to understand terms, then what we do is once we start to express that through the action of what we're doing in life, in business, in relationships, in our health and well-being, everything is interlinked. That is when we are standing more in our soul power. And that's when we stand in our soul power, we shine our soul light.
Right. Love that. How can you help through the Akashic records? How can you help us to shine, to step into or discover the soul gifts and into the soul light?
Yeah. So the Akashic records really show us who we are at soul level. So we have to be open to the fact that our soul has been around for many, many lifetimes, that we've had past lives and we've had, past experiences. But our soul light is our essence. It's our energy. It's our spirit. It's our higher self, or our soul. It's however we choose to coin it, however we choose to frame it. So it is really the energetic essence of us. Now, our energetic essence doesn't change through lifetimes. It is the thing that was, when we came into existence as a soul being, that was written into our Akashic records. That's when our Akashic record came into existence, the moment our soul did. And so it holds the information about our essence of who we are at that soul level, what our soul gifts are, etc. And then as we've evolved and we've incarnated through various lifetimes, we are storing that information, that energetic information, into the Akashic records. So a little bit like what you said before, if everything is energy, everything goes, everything has an energetic resonance. Our thoughts, our feelings, our actions, the way we feel, everything has an energetic resonance. So if we cannot destroy energy, but we can transform it, then where does it go? And that's what we say is stored in the Akashic resonance. It's like an energetic imprinting of that action, that thought, that feeling that's gone out there and is then literally held within our individual Akashic records. So where we've had past life experiences, the energy of those experiences is stored in the records. And if we've had a challenging past life experience, then we hold on to that energetic resonance of that past experience. And that's why we end up being on repeating patterns of behavior in this lifetime. And so, when we kind of like think, why am I doing this again and again and again? I kind of know, I've done some work around it. I kind of know what's going on here, but I can't seem to change it. And that's because it's written in the Akashic record. And once we look at the Akashic record to understand where that pattern evolved from through a past life, we can clear it and then we can change it by showing up in a different way, because we understand it on a very different level then. So, the Akashic records are vast. But so going back to your original question around, how do we find out about our soul power? It's stored in the Akashic record. Mm-hmm. Like we tap into what I do was work with my clients to tap into their Akashic record to discover what their soul gifts are. So that gives them that clue and that insight as to like, oh, that's why that feels easy, or this is why this feels difficult and challenging. So we can step more into flow and ease. And that's the place that we manifest abundance through. We can't manifest abundance through hard work and trying and doing something that's not aligned to who we are.
Yeah, absolutely. We've all been there, that feeling that you're walking through treacle, isn't it? Like,
it's painful.
It's painful. You're going, why doesn't this flow for me? And then you do something else that is in flow and you're like, wow, this is so effortless and flowy. And then you realize actually it's aligned to your soul gift. But that's so interesting how you've just explained, the Akashic records, and it's almost like these layers that we kind of build from our past incarnations as well, that these repeating patterns that we keep repeating, and you think, and I've been thinking, why do I keep doing this? I know what I'm doing. And it's a pattern and I guess the question I've got is, it's sort of two questions, is can we all individually access our records? And secondly on that is it best to work with a practitioner who to go into the Akashic records and to understand the past lives and the healing that can be done?
Yeah, so good question. So firstly, yes, we can all access our Akashic records. We all have an Akashic record. Sometimes we make a higher choice, like a soul level choice, that we don't want to access the records, and that's okay too. Sometimes we're going through a particular process of healing, and so a practitioner won't be able to gain access to the record because it's not in somebody's highest interest or good at that time. So there are some times where we won't necessarily give ourselves access to the information through a practitioner, because we're not ready to do that level of work yet. There's something else we need to do first, or something else is going on, and that would just be like maybe a healing overload or going into a bit of a healing crisis. So there are various times where you might not be able to get access, but we all have access to our own Akashic record. So it's when we don't really know what we're looking for, or we got a sense of, it becomes very, if we're not clear, we won't get clear results back. We won't get clarity of, if we haven't got clear intention, we cannot get clarity of results. So it's really, working with a practitioner will give you that clarity. That's what I think anyway. When I was first training and learning all about it, I was like, wow, this is just vast. It took me some time, even learning the whole process, to get the clarity around what this all means and how we can then go out into the world and actually use this information to express it so we can shine our soul light. Because information is all very well and good, but if we don't know how to apply it into our life, then nothing will change. I mean, I don't know about you, but I've been up to plenty of amazing healing sessions where I've been like, oh my God, something definitely shifted for me, but then nothing really outwardly has changed for myself because I haven't known what to do with that healing experience, all the information that somebody has shared with me. And that, I think, is the true power of the way I work with the Akashic records and the information that we share. It is actionable if you choose. Of course, we are all at choice. We can choose to do nothing with the information, but it gives us an insight into really what we can do differently and how we can change to create new and different results.
Right. So it's really about what we do with that information when we've done the healing, we've done the work behind it. It's that taking the action that will help us to move forward with it.
Yeah.
You mentioned also the intention you have, the intention that we set. How important is setting an intention for us?
It's really, really important, because if we don't know what our intention is, how can we get clear results? So before any of my sessions, I will always send my clients questions. What is your intention? What do you wish to know from the Akashic records? Because if they don't know what you're looking for, then how do they know how to respond? And very often as well in the spiritual world, it's like we give away our responsibility to the higher beings, to our higher self, and we say, the universe will take care of it. Like, the universe knows what I mean, but it doesn't. It doesn't. If we are not clear, how can we get clarity back? So clarity of your intention is always going to support you in getting clarity in return. Whatever we put out there is what we will get more of. The universe doesn't reward us or punish us for certain things. That's something I used to think, is like, what have I done wrong? Why is the universe punishing me? I'm not getting the results I want. The universe isn't doing anything to us. I think that's really, really important to really, really grasp, not just to understand on a mind level, but to really, really understand on a very visceral level that the universe is not doing anything to us. It is simply a reflection of our own internal. So whatever our frequency is, whatever we are vibrating to, whatever we are intending, whatever we are putting out, we will just get more of that back. So it is always up to us to set the intention of what we want to create. Always. Universe will then respond.
It's setting that intention, being clear with it, and then actually taking the action and taking responsibility of it.
Absolutely.
I guess it's when we are not clear and we're heads going, oh, I'm not really sure what I want to do, there's no intention there. That's when we get these mixed bags of results and
absolutely
things going on.
Absolutely. We know it when we just kind of put a load of things in a bag and we just kind of like, you know, shuffle them around a bit. We just get a whole load of mixed results back and we're like, well, what's that all about? And so we have to look back to ourselves to say, well, what was I doing? What was my intention? How did I create that? And then it's like, then we can go, oh, okay, that was what I did, or that intention wasn't quite clear, or that goal wasn't quite clear, or that thing that I'm moving towards wasn't quite clear. And then we can just tweak, we can course correct, we can just realign ourselves to it and go, okay, well, that intention was kind of right, but I just need to refine it a bit, or that goal was kind of right, but I need to refine it a bit. And then we can step further into it.
Right. I think that's a really key point to make. That it's that tweaking, isn't it? The tweaking of the goals, the tweaking of the intentions, because it doesn't have to be set in stone for that. It can be tweaked, and we don't have to scrap it completely. So I know I've been guilty of that in the past. It's like, oh no, that's not going the way I want it. Let's do something new. But it's making a little change rather than completely.
Yeah, absolutely. And we don't want to be fixed, like really, really fixed and wedded, like in control of the outcome. We want to be a little bit more fluid. We want to know where we're going, but we want to be able to actually see, because with every step of the way, we don't know what else we don't know yet. So 2 steps towards our goal or our intention, we'll have clarity of more information, and we might go, oh, right, I didn't know that before, or I didn't know this person before. And actually, how does that fit? Do I want to tweak it? Do I want to shift that goal a little bit? And then, you know, and then we take another few steps. And that is the journey of life. I know it's a cliche, but we never get there. We are just ever evolving and ever learning about ourselves and who we are, and stepping into that to become more and more our true authentic selves, so that we can shine our soul light.
Yes. So I guess in a society at the moment, I've heard from people, read in books, you know, that we live very much up here on the upper levels energetically. Yeah. And the work that you do sounds very much like, it's about not discombobulating ourselves from the upper, from the upper energy or upper chakras. And it's about bringing that together with in alignment with the chakras below, so we can take the action. So how important is it for you and the work that you do to really be grounded?
Oh, it is so important. It really is. It's always been something that has always been at the back of my mind. Like, how do I not get swept away with the spirituality of things and end up living my life out here, always in meditation, very disconnected from, you know, my experience here. Keep my feet firmly on the ground so I can create the reality and the future and the life that I want. And it doesn't exist only up here, it exists up there and down here. And when we marry those two together and express that out into the world, that's where we see our life really truly change, through the results that we're getting. You know, if we are not seeing new and different results, our life isn't changing, and we're not doing anything new and different. So our results never lie. They are always an indication of where we're moving towards or away from.
Absolutely. You have a good exercise, a very simple exercise maybe that one could do just to get grounded. Is there something that anyone can do any time of the day? You're feeling a bit, maybe going through a bit of escapism.
Yeah. So a really, really simple thing that we can do in any moment, when we're like at a desk, when we're on the phone, when we're going for a walk and we feel a little bit ungrounded, is to really feel our feet on the floor. So really make that conscious connection with them. This is so simple, right? But it takes some practice to do. And we can do it when we're in flow, when we're writing it, when we're working, when we're on a conversation with somebody, we go off onto certain tangents and we're constantly in our head. It's just to uncross your legs. We often sit, I know I do, cross-legged, put your feet flat on the floor and just feel and connect. And if you do it right now for these 5 seconds, just feel your feet on the floor and just be really consciously aware of it, then everything kind of slows down a bit. Like I I'm aware of my feet on the floor, but I'm also aware that I'm talking. But you might have noticed that actually my voice, my language has actually just slowed down a bit. And it's just brought me back more into the moment. I get very excited about these conversations, so I can be like very, but that's just really grounded me, just to bring that duality of awareness. And you can do that while you're walking. You start to notice things. You start to use other senses. You start to hear things. You start to see things. You start to feel things. And that's really just being able to bring yourself. And this is, you talked about mindfulness at the beginning. It's not something, I've taught it's something I've taught for a very, very long time. But I forget about these, really simple tools that I teach people, which is just to be in the present moment, to become just that slightly more aware of what you're doing, what you're saying, what you're thinking. And then you can just express it in just a very different way.
Yeah, when you were saying, just at that moment when you put the feet firmly on the ground, when you said that things slow down, I could feel that. And it's almost like you feel with all the senses, your multi-senses, rather than just the usual ones that we use. So and that's great. Yeah, the fact that we could do that anytime, anywhere, just to get around that. Being mindful, like when we're taking a walk. I know that something I noticed when I was completely burnt out in the corporate world, I almost think I stopped seeing the color in the trees and the leaves of the trees. And I remember taking a really mindful walk and just looking and going, oh wow, they're really green. I know it sounds ridiculous, but it was.
No, it's so true.
You stop seeing things, don't you, when we're not being mindful. It's almost like we stop. But I'm definitely going to use that exercise, because I get really excited too.
And there's nothing wrong with excitement, as it's time. But like sometimes we can just get a little bit carried away with things, and we just want to bring. And that's just something, is just that connection. Once we practice it a little bit, that we just bring ourselves back into the present moment, and just to really feel. And we can do that when we're feeling, sad, or we're feeling, anxious about something, or stressed about something. It just really allows that fight and flight reaction to calm down, stops the adrenaline coursing down, our heart rate drops. So lots of actual physical things happen in the body just by bringing that moment of presence.
Like dropping the anchor. Drop that anchor down. I know you're going to take us through an Akashic record, a meditation activation at the end of this, which is so exciting. But before we get there, I just wanted to ask a few more questions, if that was okay for time. So we talked about, setting an intention and taking action, and taking aligned action. Just to be really clear for people, it's, the aligned action for you, how is that different?
Yeah, it's really, really different, because we can take lots of action. And I used to be very much an action taker, and just be like, oh, the more action I'm taking, the better, because this is also what we buy into. The more we work hard, the more action we take, the better we feel about ourselves. We look like we're being busy, we get lots of validation around that. But actually, it's just, again, it's about setting an intention. What we're actually putting out there is something quite chaotic. We're taking lots of action in lots of different directions. You can, if you just go, and then I'm just going to do this, and I do this, you can feel the energy, right? It's like it's disparate. It's like, and so we are just putting stuff out there that's a little bit chaotic, it's unclear, and that's what we're going to get back. By taking aligned action, we really can simplify things. So we can say, right, I want to go in a certain direction. What is that direction I want to go towards? Now, is the action that I'm choosing to take right now actually aligned, and will it help me and support me in getting to where I want to go? Right? Or is it just random action to help me feel like I'm keeping busy and I'm doing stuff? Or is it a distraction action? Often we can get really busy going, oh, but I need to do all this stuff over here. And I know a lot of business owners and entrepreneurs do this. It's a great tactic of distraction, being busy, but not actually getting any closer to where we want to go. So, you know, once we simplify things, I do so much less now, but I get so much more results because I'm actually taking and choosing, and I haven't got this perfected by any stretch of the imagination. But I notice very, very quickly now that when I'm taking aligned action, I take steps towards something. And I notice when it's just distraction, and I stop and I take that action. The aligned action is also not just towards your goal or what you want to create or your vision, but it's also aligned to who you are. It expresses you authentically. So it's like, it's like when we show up in business, just being us, you know, it's like, it's a beautiful experience in our business, and we have to practice that, and it takes a bit of time. But if we are not being us in business, then business is just can be hard work as well. So it has to be aligned to who we are, how we express ourselves, and how we love to show up. So that's being aligned to us, but also aligned to our goal or our intention or our vision.
Yeah. Yes, I love that. Keeping it simple. I can definitely do with some of that. You know, keeping it much more simple. And you know, it feels so much different, so different when we start doing it in that sense, doesn't it? And you know, the distractions, like you said, so many of us business owners can distract and procrastinate sometimes over, I'm busy, I've got to do this before I get onto that. But being aware, I guess, of what's the important thing to do. And actually a lot of the stuff can just fall. But yeah, good insight. Keep it simple.
Keep it really, really, really simple.
And like you say, it's about keeping it light with that playfulness, that sense of joy, you know, being in alignment with your authentic self. And I know you've talked about you know, the authentic self, and you know, can we always be authentic? You know, the personality sometimes does get in the way. You know, we've got to blend the two. But yeah, I guess being authentic as much as we can, right?
And in each moment, you know, just choosing what do I choose here. And you know, sometimes, you know, often, not even just sometimes, often we get it wrong. We look back at something and we go, yeah, that wasn't aligned, that wasn't expressing me who I am. And that's okay. It really is okay. We are all of everything, and we want to express ourselves as all of everything. But the more we align to ourselves, the more fun and lightness and playfulness and flow we tap into, for sure.
Absolutely. So what I want to ask before we wrap up the interview is that, you know, what's the most common thing that you've been asked this year in 2020? It's been an interesting year, a challenging year for many, and it still is. And yeah, so I guess, what have you been asked the most?
Oh, that's a good question. What have I been asked most? I think a lot of people want to know how to eliminate the fear. And what I always say to that is, we will never eliminate the fear. I touched on this a little bit earlier, but you know, we will never eliminate the fear. Fear is part of us moving and changing. And so what I really, really hope for people, and the people that I work with closely, is that we can shift our response to fear, that we can really stand alongside fear and not let it stop us so much. Sometimes it will stop us, but that's okay to recognize too. But that actually, you know, we will not out-evolve fear. Fear is just a part of us. It's a fear of expression. We need fear, because if we are in actual danger, if we out-evolve fear and we don't experience fear, we won't know how to cause the adrenaline coming through us and run away. So we need fear. We cannot eliminate that fear, but what we can do is understand it from a very different perspective. So that is something I have been really asked a lot, especially now through going through massive transition in this time in the first half of 2020, and you know, what we will continue. It's like we are hearing more and more fear-based reporting, and we really want to step beyond that and really allow ourselves to go, the fear is there, but what do I choose to do with it?
So what do we choose to do with our fear? And yeah, it's going to be there. We're going to have to learn to, so like you said, stand side by side with it. So
equal as equals. Fear doesn't control us, and you know, we are always in charge through the choices we make, without any exceptions whatsoever.
I think we need to remember that, don't we? That taking that choice. And maybe being compassionate towards ourselves, being a bit.
Oh, compassion is a huge one.
Yeah, for sure. Do you have any other last words of wisdom to share with us?
Oh, I think just touching on what you just said there is, I think, is really, really important. Compassion is huge. Compassion for ourselves, recognizing that we won't always get it right, that we are here to learn, we are here to experience, we're here to practice stuff as a spiritual being having a human experience. And, you know, it's okay to get things a little bit wrong sometimes. As I always say, you know, a mistake is never, ever a mistake if we choose to do it differently. The mistake is only in repeating it forever. You know, even if we get 10 years down the line and say, right, I'm not going to make that mistake again, it's not a mistake because we've learned something incredible from it. So compassion to selves, loving ourselves, you know, really, yeah, allows us to express ourselves so much more fully when we're kind, when we're kinder, you know, and we are just compassionate with ourselves. So I think just touching on what you said there, which I think is a valid point and not one to skip over.
Thank you so much, Natasha. So one last question, where is Natasha going next?
Who knows? Who knows? But I tell you what, it's when I look back, and I do this now every 4 to 6 months, is I look back and I recognize where I've come in the last 4 to 6 months. And I can never quite believe, like, oh my goodness, look at these people that have come into my life, look who I'm working with, look at these amazing clients, look at what they've achieved, look at the relationships that I'm forming, you know, and some of the other experiences in my life that haven't been so incredible, you know, some experiences to have learned from. And then I kind of take stock of all of that, and then I think, wow, if I've managed to create this amount of change in the last 4 to 6 months, I cannot wait to see what is the next 4 to 6 months. But there are lots of exciting things on the horizon. I am developing, actually this actually really resonates with you. It's just really kind of dawned on me. But we are, I'm collaborating with someone, and we're creating the Circle of Light movement, because this is how, you know, these conversations, the light being that is so important. It's such a huge part of my work. And as I said, you know, as we stand stronger and more firmly together. So that is something that's exciting and happening right now. And yeah, to really keep working with people to really have a bigger impact in this world, and to be for me to play my part in that in any way I can. So that's what's next for me. Keep showing up.
That's so exciting. That sounds super exciting, Natasha. So where can people go to find your website?
Yes.
And also and your Facebook page, if you can share that would be great.
Yeah. So everything is searchable under Mind, Body and Soul Energy. So just you know, Google that, put that into Facebook. My Instagram handle is at Mind, Body, Soul Energy. My website is www.mindbodysoulenergy.co.uk. Yeah, and you can sign up for a free consultation there. Sign up to my little free thing if you're interested in you know, discovering what your own soul power is, so you can stand more in it and activate it. Yeah, you can just register there, and you'll get a little meditation from me as well. So yeah.
And that's on the website, is it?
That's on the website at the top of the page.
And I think you can also find you under Natasha Harris if you Google Natasha Harris. Yeah, Mind,
yeah.
Body, Soul. So yeah,
exactly. Yeah.
That's so exciting. So would you be happy now to lead us into a short,
indeed.
meditation activation?
Yeah, a really short little meditation, just to really allow you to see that it's possible for you to access your own Akashic record, to really tap into the energy of your own unique soul frequency, just to frame what we're going to be doing in this, and just to really open a little doorway, to bathe in that soul light, and to really see what comes up for you. So if you are ready, so just finding a nice comfortable seated position. Always really important just to have your feet grounded on the floor, so if they're crossed, to uncross them. And we're going to take 3 nice deep breaths in, just to really bring ourselves, as we talked about a moment ago, into your body, into the present moment. So taking a nice deep breath in through the nose, and opening the mouth and breathing out through the mouth, and really letting go. Feeling your feet on the floor. Take another nice deep breath in your own time. Just 3 nice deep breaths. And just release and let it go. And a final one. Just to allow yourself now for your breathing to come to its own natural rhythm. Feeling your feet on the floor, allowing your hands to be comfortable where they are, just whatever you're guided to. Perhaps they're hands down, palms down on your lap. Perhaps they feel better, hand palms up. Perhaps you feel comfortable just to place your hands over your heart. I always feel comfortable in that, but for some of us that doesn't feel so comfortable. So wherever you feel comfortable, we're just going to take a little journey up into the other dimensions, up into the Akashic records. So allowing your, just really connecting with your breathing. And if wherever your hands are, if they're on your heart, it kind of just amplifies this, but really connecting with this heart energy. For those of you that know the energy of the heart chakra, it's loving, it's kind, it's gentle, it's compassionate, but mostly it's loving and kind and compassionate to self. So I want you to allow that to bring that energy inwards, that you are bringing this energy of compassion and love to yourself. And with each breath, it's kind of expanding within you. As you breathe, you can feel this energy, this light energy, just expanding within your heart. Perhaps you can feel it expanding now with further beyond the heart space. Perhaps you can feel a warmth or a tingling, just allowing it to expand beyond your body, through your body. A couple of breaths, just expanding that further outwards. And then with the next few breaths, we're just going to expand this energy beyond the body. So it starts and resonates from the body. You're staying very much grounded and connected to the body. It's just emanating from you. It's expanding beyond your physical body. It's amplifying. It's not going anywhere. You're not going anywhere. Just your energy and your awareness is expanding beyond the physical body. This loving, kind, gentle energy, compassionate energy to self. And expands beyond the room. And expands beyond the room to the edges and beyond. We can just use our visualization. Don't have to try hard to anything. It's just, the breath is just expanding that beyond the room, beyond the earth's crust, above, below, about, around. Just you're emanating this beautiful, this light, this frequency that is part of you. Just feel yourself being more and more expanded. More centered, more grounded, but also more expanded. And we're going to go further expanding, further upwards, beyond the Earth's atmosphere, through the sky, the stars, the planets, out and beyond, through the galaxies, through the universes. This is all emanating from where you're sitting right now, in the space that your body is. You're just taking your imagination and your visualization beyond that. And we take it up to the other dimensions. And we take it up to where the Akashic records, the energetic database of all your past choices and decisions, it holds the resonance of who you are, your Akashic record, as we've already discussed. And so as your energy and your awareness is expanded up to these energy realms, perhaps you see your Akashic record. We often talk about it as the book of life. Perhaps you see a book in front of you. Perhaps you see a doorway. Perhaps you see a portal way. However your Akashic record appears to you in energetic form. Perhaps it's a light. Perhaps it's just an energy or a hue. And connecting with that. And from this that you see, perhaps the book opens or the doorway opens. You can see this beautiful, wonderful light emanating from your Akashic record. And you can now allow yourself to start bathing yourself in this light. Your Akashic record holds the light frequency of your unique soul being, of who you are. So allowing this light to start bathing over you and connecting with this true essence of who you are at soul level. And you can feel that actually through your body wherever you're sitting as well, even though your awareness is up in the upper dimensions. This is who you are. This is your energetic resonance. And we're going to get some clarity now. We're going to ask in the records, just to get some clarity about our soul gift, who we are, what we offer to the world, what we offer in our true authenticity as a soul being. Perhaps there's a word, perhaps there's an image that appears to you, a vision. Perhaps it's a little gift that the Akashic records want to show you. You are asking your Akashic record to just give you a sign, a clue, a message that gives you a little bit of clarity about who you are at soul level, your energetic soul gift. Just breathe into that for a couple of breaths as you really acknowledge that. Allow that message to come through. Stay open, there's nothing you need to try to do. And if nothing comes to you, know that that's okay. And just ask the records to make something clearer to you over the next couple of days. And ask the records to allow you to stay open, to notice this. There's nothing to try. Something appears, then wonderful. If it doesn't, just ask for some guidance over the coming days. But allow yourself to really be bathed in this beautiful, unique light that is you, that holds the energy and the frequency of who you are. And a few more breaths here before we bring this energy down back to where we are, so we can bring this essence and this energy back into the day. Wherever you are, you can infuse your day, your week with this energy and this light. So just connecting again with this heart energy and just showing your Akashic records, any guides or that might have appeared, any beings that have supported you, just showing them immense gratitude. Thanking the guides, thanking the Akashic records. Perhaps you have a smile on your lips, just for this opportunity to connect with your own record. Before you just close, just allow a finishing of your connection with the Akashic records. We don't want to keep those records open all the time. So if it's a doorway, perhaps you just want to gently close it. If it's a book, you gently want to close it. Perhaps if it's a portal way, you just want to allow it to diminish. And we're just going to bring that energy that's still part of us down, back down, through the energetic realms where we've been working our way up to just a few moments ago. And bringing this energy down through the galaxies, through the universes, through the dimensions, back down to Earth. You can probably feel it coming down towards you, wherever you're sitting, back through the sky, past the stars, down towards the crown chakra. And you're just allowing that to be open to receiving this message, this guidance, so that you can take this forward into the day. So it comes down through the crown chakra, down through the back of the neck, down through the spine, down towards the bottom of the spine, down through the legs and down towards the feet. And acknowledging what you've just experienced, whatever that is, know it is perfect. But making a choice right now that you will express this more fully out into the world through your actions today. And just making that choice and taking a few more breaths before we just come back to the room. you want to take 2 nice, slightly deeper breaths. Just allowing yourself to come back to the space. Before opening the eyes and allowing yourself to experience this through your day today.
Thank you, Natasha. That was
Thank you, Tuğçe.
so beautiful. Oh. I feel very floaty now, and I'm very grounded.
Yeah. So yeah, if you're feeling a bit floaty, just make sure you ground yourself. Anyone that's listening, just put your feet on the floor and just spend 30 seconds. Just, yeah, really integrating that. Thank you for allowing me to share that.
That was beautiful, Natasha. Thank you. And I had a, can I share with you that I had a,
yes, please.
I had a key given. My Akashic guide gave me just a very plain gold with a little blue stone on it.
Oh. Wow, beautiful.
So it was just a, very non-assuming key, but it was like that.
Yeah.
Very nice. Interesting. So thank you very much for that. I will try and bring the energy a little bit up again.
Yeah. See how that key comes up for you. So whatever people got, it's just really about allowing that to, sometimes the Akashic records can be a little bit cryptic. We might not know immediately what they are, but just to know that you have connected with your higher self and you have information that's really relevant. That's just been downloaded to you.
So just let it unfold. Sometimes I think you said, you might not get anything. So that might come through later on, mightn't it? So
absolutely.
Thank you so much, Natasha. And again, listeners want to find out more, Natasha Harris, Mind, Body and Soul. She's on website, Instagram and Twitter. So find out more and and see if there's anything else. If there's anything Natasha can help with. But thank you so much, Natasha. I'd have loved this conversation.
Love to have these conversations. So thank you so much. And to everybody, just keep tapping into your soul light, keep shining your soul light and showing up authentically, and to create what you want in your life.
Thank you. Yes, thank you very much, Natasha.
Bye.
Bye.